Hello guys, welcome back to another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message reads like this. Hello brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? When I came here to South Africa, I started working as a driver, and my boss, when I started working for him, his small company was actually struggling, and I even believed it when he lied to me that at the end of the day, if he was going to buy more trucks, then he was going to give me one of the trucks, like that old one that I had found him with and the one that I was using, and I was going to have my own trucking company. But anyway, brother Nashi, as I was working for him, the more that he started to get more jobs and bigger and good looking trucks, then he told me that I could not use those trucks because of insurance. If I was going to have an accident using those new trucks, then the insurance was not going to pay, simply because I didn't have proper documentation. So I was not earning a lot since I was like using that other truck that was not getting like your big loads. In the meantime, I was dating a woman who was a local woman, and I was like providing everything for her, because when I started staying with her, I later found out that this was like a plan. She had lied to me that she was pregnant for me. Actually, what she would do is that she would even ask me to bring her some soil. Like, you know, when women are pregnant, they can just go to an anthill, then they will start eating the soil. So these are the place where I used to go to take the loads. She would say, I want the soil from that town. And I was really happy when she told me that she was pregnant. We started staying together, but I was staying at her parents' house, even though she only had a mom. Her father had passed away. So I was staying with my in-laws, and I was doing everything, brother Nashi. Their house, I did everything on their house. When I started staying with her, they only had about 3 rooms, and these 3 rooms, they were like those rooms in which it is one, and the rooms that they had, they were not even nice at all. It was just like those rooms that will be in a straight line, and I said this was not proper. So I then started helping them. Since me and her, we were sleeping in one of the rooms that was used as a kitchen, and I found some guys that were from Zim, and they did the foundation as well as the building. At the end of the day, after she dumped me, I had built an 8-roomed house for her mom, as well as some nice roof tiles. And they promised to me, brother Nashi, when I was doing all of this, she had told me that at the end of the day, since I was going to be the father of her child, I was supposed to have some proper documentation, and I believed all of her lies. But when it came time for me to start seeing that she is pregnant, she then started crying, and she told me that she had a miscarriage. Anyway, since she had a miscarriage, I kept on doing a lot of things for her, because I was trying to comfort her and making her to forget about the baby that she had lost, because of the way that she would cry each and every time that I would come to her parents' house. After the building of that house, brother Nashi, I then saw that the way that her mom was now treating me, every time when I'll be at her place, the mom will always complain like we were supposed to find a place of our own. And this was great, because we didn't need to stay with our in-laws. It was not nice to me. I then told her that she was supposed to go and look for at least a 2-roomed apartment. I was able to provide for that, and she went. But brother Nashi, when she told me the amount of the money that was needed for the rent, it was quite a lot. But anyway, simply because I loved her and the promises that she had given me, I then sent an e-wallet of that money. But brother Nashi, she used all of that money. When I returned back from work, this was about a month when I was on the road. When I returned back from work, I said, so what did you do with that money? Did you pay the rent? And she said, no, there was a big problem. Some of the builders it came back because apparently the money that I was giving her to pay the builders, some of it she was not paying them. So she then told me that they had used that money to pay the builders. It really pained me, Brother Nashi. When I returned back to work, because of the stresses that I was experiencing, I then had an accident, and unfortunately after that accident, my boss then said that he could not offer me any work opportunity anymore. I had to find somewhere to work. I tried to get a job, but I failed to get a job. And when I saw that I could not get a job, there was this other brother of mine. He was there in Bakersford. I spoke with him, and he was into this thing of illegal mining. Since I was really like desperate, and this woman that I used to call my wife, when she saw that I had been fired from work, she started complaining, and she said that she wanted to go to work because she could not face her mom and her child suffer because she had a child when she was still in high school. When she started working, Brother Nashi, I even saw that she was now cheating on me, but there was nothing that I could do because I was staying at her parents' house, the one that I had built, the one that I had renovated for her mom, and I was then kicked out. This was after she had accused me of sleeping with another girl in that same location. But what had happened is that this girl one day, she knew about my situation, so she stopped me and she started telling me that this girl, the one that I called my wife, she was cheating on me. So as we were walking, we were talking, and we were really like walking close to each other, but we were not like in love. This was like a woman who was just feeling sorry for me, and the whole neighborhood knew that this family had made me to renovate their house, and people knew that one day I was going to be kicked out. So people were just feeling very sorry for me. Now that people knew that I had been fired, they knew that time had arrived for me to be kicked out of that house that I had built for my in-laws. Brother Nashi, whilst we were just walking and talking, I then saw that woman that I was staying with as my wife getting off the taxi. She then started shouting. She shouted, Brother Nashi, and she made such a big scene, and she said that from today I do not want you to come back to our house anymore. This girl, this woman, this protest. She then started shouting, and she said that this prostitute that you are with, she will take care of you. I then returned back to her mom's place because I wanted to negotiate with her, but she told her mom everything, and she had added a little bit of lies, and her mom was angry at me. When I arrived here, her brother then said that I was supposed to get out of their mom's house. They kicked me out like a dog. She took some of my clothes and she just placed them in a small plastic bag, and she threw it at me, and she said that she would never tolerate a man that cheats on her. That is how I found myself on the street. When I found myself on the street, I then spoke with my brother, the one who was in Bakersford, about this issue. He then said, you can come and you can just see what we can do. So Brother Nashi, I then went there to Bakersford. When I went there, I saw that he was into this thing of Zamazama. They were just mining everywhere, and they were doing it illegally. So I went and I joined them. After I had joined them, he then told me that he had been given these charms by a local traditional healer so that he can have luck. He said, if you want, you can also get these charms so that you can have a little bit of luck. I then got those charms, Brother Nashi, that gives me luck, and for a very long time I was able to make money. I was even able to buy a tipper that we were using to carry the chrome, but it was not like those big side tippers. It was just a normal tipper, the ones that they use for the road construction. After I had bought that tipper, what I would do is that I was no longer into mining, but people would just hire me so as to carry that chrome. Unfortunately, then there was an operation, and my truck, it was confiscated. After it was confiscated, Brother Nashi, I was then left without having anything. I returned back to that traditional healer. At that time, when I arrived there was another man as well who had came there to give him some powers. He said that this man is the one who regularly comes and gives him some of the charms that he uses. This man, he was from Mozambique. I then spoke with that man when that traditional healer was busy with other people. I said, are you able to like give me some charms so that I can have a lot of money. He said that is very easy. He can actually do that for me. But he then said that all that I had to do was like to follow him to Mozambique, because when he had came to South Africa, he had only came to South Africa so as to strengthen this traditional healer who had given me some charms. So Brother Nashi, when he told me that I was supposed to follow him to Mozambique, I said I do not have any money, and I was highly stressed because I had lost my truck and there was no way where I was going to get the money. So Brother Nashi, that man then told me that he was going to see what he can do, and since he didn't have any charms, there was nothing that we could do. I had to wait for him. When that man said that there was nothing that he could do about my situation, I felt so disappointed. That traditional healer then gave me some charms to use when I'll be bathing, but nothing was changing at all. It then happened that one day, then this man, that local traditional healer, called me. After he had called me, he told me that I was supposed to rush to his place so that I can consult with him. So I went there, Brother Nashi, and he started consulting with me, and he told me that over the phone he had spoken with that traditional healer from Mozambique, and there was a plan that we could do. All that I was supposed to do is that there were some markings that were supposed to be put on my manhood, and after these markings that were going to be made using a razor blade, then I was supposed to go out there and I had to sleep with a woman. And after sleeping with that woman, I was not supposed to like wipe off my private parts. I was just supposed to return back to him, and he was the one that was going to wash my manhood. And by washing my manhood, then he was going to send that water to Mozambique so that the man can help me to make money. So I then went around and I finally found the girl that, because he had said that it is not any woman that I was supposed to sleep with, but he had given me the character of that woman that I was supposed to sleep with. This woman that I was supposed to sleep with is someone who was not into dating a lot of men. And I then started attending this other Pentecostal church, and when I started attending this Pentecostal church, I pretended as if I was someone who had the love of God in him. And all that I was doing was that I was looking for an innocent woman so that in the future I can take care of him. And when I was attending that church that is there in Bakersford, that is a Pentecostal church, finally I then approached this other lady. She was a single woman, but she was a little bit older. I approached her. After I had approached her, she said that we were supposed to go to the church leaders about it. This is the evil that I did. I even went to the church elders, and then they sat with us down and they told us that this thing that we wanted to do, we had to do it in a proper way, and we were supposed to get married. And I was agreeing to everything because I knew that at the end of the day I was going to benefit, but I was never going to get married to this woman. And this woman, she had told me that we were not supposed to sleep together until I had gotten married to her. I said that was fine, but I knew that I was going to do something about it. I returned back to that traditional healer and I told him that this is what I was facing. That woman, she didn't want to sleep with me. That healer then gave me some stick, and this stick, it was more like a match stick. So he broke it into half and he said, this first half, you are supposed to put it under your tongue, and once you have like placed it under your tongue, you are supposed to tell her that you want to see her, but try to see her in a place whereby you will be able to make love with her. So you are supposed to call her to your place. So place it underneath your tongue before you have called her. I then did that, and he said that the next piece of that matchstick, that charm that he had given me, I was supposed to place it the moment that she will come over to my place at the house, at the room where I was renting at that time. I then went back and I then waited for the evening to arrive. I then placed that other half of that matchstick underneath my tongue and I called her to my place. She was someone who resisted each and every time when I would say, can you come over to my place at night? But on that day when I called her. She then came. Then when she had arrived, as I was opening the door, I placed the other half of the matchstick underneath my tongue. Immediately when she walked in, she then started saying that, why is it that I feel so weak? I feel so sleepy and hot at the same time. I then suggested that she was supposed to remove her clothes and get into bed, and she was like a zombie. She followed everything, and then she went into bed, and I knew that I had already sealed the deal. She then went into bed and I followed her, and we made love, but we could not sleep together throughout the night because she had left her child alone. She then said, let me return back to my child, and after we had slept together, she had tried wiping off my manhood with a face towel, but I had resisted, and I said I would do it. So I went outside to the toilet as if I wanted to go and pee, and when I came back, I pretended as if I had washed my private parts, but I had not done anything. I then went with her back to her place so that she can be with her child, and when I was returning back home, I went straight to that traditional healer's place, and this was like late at night, and I told him that I had just slept with a woman. He then said that it is perfect, come inside. That man, Brother Nashi, he washed my manhood, and this was like the most weirdest thing that had ever happened to me, for another man to take hold of my manhood and start washing it. After he had washed it, he placed that water in a very small bucket, and he said that he was going to send this water to Mozambique. So I was supposed to return back, and even if I didn't want to work or to do anything, money was going to come to me, but under his instruction. I waited and I waited, Brother Nashi, until one day when I was walking, I then picked up 1,000 rands out of nowhere. Even in that dusty street where I was walking, there was not anyone that was walking in front of me whereby I can say that the person who dropped this money is such and such a person. When I picked that money, the following day I then picked again another money. It was the same amount. I returned back to that traditional healer, and he told me that it was now my time for me to start earning that money. But after a couple of days, after he had instructed me to stop going to that church, that lady that I was dating, she got so sick that she nearly died. And on the day that she was supposed to die, Brother Nashi, that traditional healer called me to his consulting room, and he told me to sit down, and I sat down, and whilst I was sitting down, he gave me a mirror, but I didn't see anything in the mirror. He had said that the spirit of that woman, as per the instruction that he had been given by that other healer who used to give him some powers, the one who was from Mozambique, he had said that the spirit was supposed to appear in that mirror, the spirit of that woman. But I sat there, Brother Nashi, for almost an hour. She never appeared. I kept on stabbing that mirror with a needle that he had given me, but nothing ever happened. When he saw that nothing was happening, he then said that it is fine, you can return back to your place, and I would speak with that healer, the one who used to strengthen him. When I returned back home, what shocked me is that I saw that on the bed there was just blood everywhere. The comforter that was on the bed, it was as if someone had taken that comforter and just soaked it in a dish that was full of blood. So I ran back to that traditional healer, and when I ran there, I saw that things were scattered all over his consulting room. He was also in shock at everything that had happened, and he then suspected that maybe that woman whom we had tried to sacrifice was the one that had caused this. At the same time, Brother Nashi, I received a phone call. This was from my home there in Zim. My sister, the one who is the last born in our family, she had been hit by a bull. So this bull that then at the same time, I then received a phone call. This phone call, it was from my family back home. They were informing me of the death of my little sister. This sister of mine, she is the one who is the last born in our family. This news, when it hit me, Brother Nashi, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even want to return back home, but that cousin of mine, but that brother of mine who had invited me to Bakersford, he then said that since he had car. We were supposed to travel back together, back to Zim. He then traveled with me back to Zim, where we attended the funeral of my little sister. And he said that he was returning back to South Africa, but I didn't have any energy at all. It was only after my little sister started beating me up, a spirit started appearing to me and started beating me so hard. But when she was beating me, she was not even saying anything. Thinking that maybe I was losing my mind, I then returned back to South Africa, where I am currently staying. It is a regular thing that happens to me. My sister, she visits me, and each and every time when she visits me, she will be holding a crate of eggs, and when she will be throwing those eggs on the ground, she will be counting the number of years that I am left with. Each and every night, Brother Nanshi, she comes in my dreams, and that is the dream that I have. It is a dream that scares me a lot. As for that woman that I was dating, the one that I met in that Pentecostal church when I was just pretending to be someone who was now a born-again Christian so that I can use her for a sacrifice, I never spoke with her after I heard that she had survived in hospital, where she was admitted into. My story, Brother Nash, it is a story of me suffering. I have suffered a lot, but at the same time, I have no one who can assist me.